Hello everybody, Plato here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the sorcery scaling for all of the staffs in the game. Huge shout out to Tarnish Spreadsheet on Reddit for providing us with this weapon calculator that I used to get all of this data. Links down in the description below for the weapon calculator, and also links down in the description below for the spreadsheet. My goal of this video is to help showcase if it's worth using your Ancient Somber Dragon Smithing Stones or your regular Ancient Dragon Smithing Stones to upgrade your weapons to its max value. All of the data you're going to see here is from weapons that have been upgraded to plus 25 and plus 10 respectively, so let's go ahead and get started. If we go ahead and take a look at the right, you can see that there's a few keys that you can associate with this spreadsheet. Anything mentioned in purple is going to be hybrid staffs that have dual scaling. Anything highlighted in green is going to have good scaling for its current intelligence level. Anything that's not highlighted is going to have average scaling. Anything highlighted in dark gray is going to have poor scaling, and the only thing that is in orange is the Meteorite Staff, which cannot be upgraded. Now, taking a look at our first staff, it's going to be the Academy Glintstone Staff, which has really good scaling from 40 to 60 intelligence, drops off from 70 to 80, and then picks back up at 99 intelligence. This is not going to be a staff that I will recommend for the late game, but if you do have a build and you do want to max this out at plus 25 that focuses around 60 intelligence, it's going to be your go-to staff. Taking a look at our second staff, it is going to be the Albinauric Staff, which is going to be the first hybrid staff we're going to encounter. Now, don't be fooled by the really well scaling you see in green here, right? You can see that for 40, 60, 70, 80, and 99, it has some damn good scaling. However, in order to get those sorcery scaling numbers, you need to have equal points into intelligence, and in this instance, arcane. So to get a sorcery scaling of 305, you need both 40 into intelligence and 40 into arcane. Same applies for 60, 70, 80, and 99. Now, if we take a look at the scaling for the same staff, but only for intelligence, you can see that it has really bad scaling. Definitely not a staff that I'm going to recommend unless you're extremely in the late game and you have points to allocate into both intelligence and arcane. Because there are going to be plenty of other staffs that scale much better with pure intelligence, because every single other staff you're going to see on this list, no matter how bad it is, scales so much better with pure intelligence. Well, now you may be asking, what if I want to do a hybrid build for a mage that has intelligence and arcane? Well, there's only two spells that scale with arcane, and it's the bubble spell, so if you really want to do that, be my guest, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, I did mention that this is going to be a really good staff for late game once you can allocate those hybrid points to take advantage of the sorcery scaling, but we'll get to this staff a little bit later into this video. There's going to be one that's going to be even better than this one, so stay tuned. For our third staff, we have the good old Astrologer Staff that you get as a starting staff if you choose the Astrologer class, and you can get pretty early if you want to dabble into some magic in the early game. However, just like with the Academy Glintstone Staff, it has good scaling from up to 40 to 60 intelligence, and then it's pretty much average throughout. So again, if you don't somehow get the Academy Glintstone Staff and want to stop for a build around 60 intelligence, this is a pretty darn good staff, but otherwise, it's just very average. But then you may say, well, isn't this a really good early game staff? Well, we'll get to the Meteorite Staff in a little bit because you can technically get that staff literally the second you get your horse. So if anybody is going to argue that this is a really good early game staff, I mean, the Meteorite Staff is just miles better in every single way, and it's going to be a great staff that you're going to be using until you transition into your mid/late game where you can upgrade staffs that'll finally surpass the Meteorite Staff. Personally, I'm not going to waste my resources getting the Astrologer Staff to 25 in any scenario. Moving to our fourth staff, we have the Azur Glintstone Staff, which gives a 8% bonus to cast speed for a 20% FP increase, and it has really good scaling from 80 intelligence and above. However, it's pretty average until you get to the 80 intelligence mark. In my opinion, I'm not a huge fan of the Azur Glintstone Staff simply for the fact that an increased cost in FP for only an 8% cast speed bonus is not worth it. My recommendation would be using the Radacon's Icon Talisman because that gives you a virtual 32 dexterity and pairing it with a better staff for your cast speed. Remember that dexterity also scales with cast speed, and a nice breakpoint for dexterity versus cast speed is staying around 20 dexterity, popping Radacon's Icon, which gives you a virtual 30 dexterity, and that's going to be your best bang for buck. Now, the soft cap for cast speed is going to be 70 dexterity, so once you're in the later game, what you can actually do is spec 40 into dexterity, use Radacon's Icon, boom, you have 70 dex, and you're going to be at the max cast speed. So in that regard, the Azur Glintstone Staff is not worth it. If you guys want more information about all these soft caps, check out my link below in the video description, and check out that soft cap video. It's very informative, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot. Now for our fifth staff, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Carian Glintblade Staff, which gives us a damage bonus to Carian Phalanx, Carian Retaliation, Glintblade Phalanx, Great Blade Phalanx, Loretta's Greatbow, Loretta's Mastery, and Magic Glintblade. You can see that it has really good scaling up to 60 intelligence, and afterwards it falls off to more of an average curve. This is going to be a really good staff if you want to go ahead and take advantage of the damage bonus it gives to the spells I mentioned. So if you really want to use those spells, this is going to be a really great staff for you. Our sixth staff is going to be the Carian Glintstone Staff, and this one gives damage bonuses to Carian Greatsword, Carian Piercer, Carian Slicer, and surprisingly, Abdullah's Moonblade. Nothing too special about this staff, it's average in every single way, but if you do want to use it to take advantage of the damage bonuses it gives to these certain spells, you can go ahead and use it, but in the later stages of Eldenring, you are going to be able to find staffs that scale better and will outdamage the bonus it actually gives to the spells I mentioned. Moving to our seventh staff, my personal favorite is the Carian Regal Scepter. Now this staff gives bonuses to Ranel's Full Moon and Ranni's Dark Moon, and begins to overtake most staffs at 70 intelligence. Now this is going to be the best overall staff in the game, as it has no compromises, such as bonuses for costing additional FP, and as you can see, has really good sorcery scaling for the last soft cap for intelligence, putting this at 373 sorcery scaling for 80 intelligence, and pairs really well with the Ice Queen build that I have on my channel, full links down below to that one as well. On to our eighth staff, we have the Crystal Staff, which gives bonuses to Crystal Release, Crystal Torrent, and Shattering Crystal. Pretty average until you get to 80 intelligence, where it has really good scaling from 80 intelligence to 99 intelligence. So if you're a fan of crystals and you really love crystals, red crystals, blue crystals, yellow crystals, Rasta crystals, this is going to be the staff for you. For staff number 9, we have the Demi-Human Queen Staff, which has good scaling up until 40 intelligence, and that's about it. It is one of the worst staffs in the game, and you should not be recommending it to your friends unless you really dislike your friends because they hooked up with your ex or something like that. Heading to staff number 10, we got garbage after garbage with the Digger Staff. It does give bonuses to Rock Blaster and Shatter Earth, but just like the Demi-Human Queen Staff, it is one of the worst staffs in the game, and I do not recommend using it. Staff number 11 is going to be the Gelmir Glinstone Staff, which is going to be our second hybrid, this time hybrid scaling with intelligence and faith. Now remember, if you guys forgot, for hybrid staffs, you need to have equal points into intelligence, and that hybrid attribute, in this case, it is faith, in order to get the sorcery scalings you are seeing here right now. This staff gives bonuses to Gelmir's Fury, Magma Shot, Rolling Magma, and Rykard's Rancor. Aside from having really good scaling at 40 faith and 40 intelligence, it is very average the more points you put into intelligence and faith. One of the great things about this staff, well, there's only two staffs that scales with intelligence faith, this one and the Prince of Death. So this is going to be a really good staff if you want to do an intelligence faith hybrid and want to stay around the 40 to 45 mark for your attribute points for intelligence and faith, and then go ahead and allocate your points elsewhere like vigor and mind. This is definitely not going to be a good staff past like level 125 to level 150, but if you want to stay around the 125 to 150 level, this is going to be your go-to staff for an intelligence and faith hybrid build. And just like all hybrid staffs, as you can see, pumping only points into intelligence will make it have really poor scaling, so don't do that. Moving to staff number 12, if you really like being average, the Glintstone Staff is for you, because as you can see, it's average in every mark for intelligence, 40, 60, 70, 80, 99. So if you like being an average Joe, this is the staff for you. Heading to staff number 13, we have the Lusat's Glintstone Staff. Now the bonus of the staff is a damage increase that is baked into its higher sorcery scaling for the cost of 50% more additional FP. Now this is going to be the best scaling staff for pure intelligence builds starting at 70 and going upwards. However, it is going to be up to you to decide if the damage increase is going to be worth the 50% additional cost in FP. Now you can mitigate this FP cost in numerous ways because as you can see, starting at 70 intelligence, we have a sorcery scaling of 364, which bumps up to 413 and 80, and also 430 at 99. So I do feel like it's worth spending a little bit of time to explain how we can mitigate the FP usage in a few ways. For starters, you can mix your Wondrous Physics with the Cerulean Tear, which for 10 seconds, you will not be wasting any FP. However, this is mostly used with the Kamehameha and the Meteorite of Estelle Cheese. Another option is using a talisman called the Primal Glintstone Blade. This talisman decreases the FP cost of your spells by about 25%, but it also has about a 15% penalty to your health as well. Our last option is going to be just having a shit ton of points into Mind. This way, it won't feel as bad when your spells take up 50% additional FP, and you can also combine your shit ton of Mind with the Primal Glintstone Blade to make it all come together. For staff number 14, we have the Meteorite Staff. Now this is the staff that you can get super early to the game, and it comes with a S scaling on intelligence. It gives bonuses to Rock Sling, which you can also get super early, Collapsing Stars, Gravity Well, Meteorite, and Meteorite of Estelle. This is going to be the best early to mid-game staff until you find a staff that you do want to spend your resources on to upgrade. Because remember guys, every single staff that we have been talking about so far is at its max upgrade at either plus 25 or plus 10. This is what makes the Meteorite Staff extremely overpowered, because while you can see that his sorcery scaling is dropping off after 40 intelligence, you can also see that it is the only staff in the game that we cannot upgrade. So let me go ahead and give you guys a quick example. So the Meteorite Staff at 60 intelligence gives you a sorcery scaling of 244. If we take a look at the Carian Regal Scepter, for example, at 60 intelligence, it gives us a sorcery scaling of 287. But remember, that's with it maxed out at plus 10. In order for the Carian Regal Scepter, as an example, to overtake the Meteorite Staff at 60 intelligence, it has to be upgraded to plus 7, so all the way from a Somber Smithing Stone 1 to a Somber Smithing Stone 7. That is why the Meteorite Staff will always be one of the best staffs for sorcerers and mages, because for the early to mid game, until you can get those resources to upgrade a staff that can finally overtake it, it is just too good to pass up. If you guys want to find out if a staff that you want to use will be able to overtake the Meteorite Staff after you upgrade it to a certain level, make sure you check out that calculator by Tarnished Spreadsheet, again linked down in the description below. And here we have staff number 15, which is the Prince of Death staff that I was alluding to earlier when we were talking about the Albinauric Staff, as well as the Gelmir Glinstone Staff. Now this one is also an Intelligence and Faith hybrid, and gives bonuses to Ancient Death Rancor, Explosive Ghost Flame, Fia's Mist, Rancor Call, and Tibia Summons. Now take a look at the sorcery scaling for the Prince of Death staff. Now remember that the values you are seeing in green is when you have equal points into intelligence and the hybrid attribute, in this case faith as well. While it is not going to overtake the Gelmir Glinstone Staff at 40 and 40, take a look at 60-60, 70-70, 80-80, and 99-99. 326, 378, 430, and 448. If you're able to spec 80 to intelligence and 80 into faith, this is just as good as the Lusat's Glintstone Staff without the FP penalty. And when you get it all the way to 99 and 99, you're looking at the best super late game staff in the entire game at 448 sorcery scaling. It also is going to provide a buff to those death spells like I mentioned earlier, but unfortunately at this time death spells are severely underpowered, so hopefully we see a buff for them in the future. And like all hybrid staffs, don't pump into only intelligence because you're going to get really bad sorcery scaling. For staff number 16, we have the Rotten Crystal Staff, not to be confused with the regular Crystal Staff because they're pretty much the same staff, giving bonuses to Crystal Release, Crystal Torrent, and Shattering Crystal. However, the one added benefit to the Rotten Crystal Staff is if you want to melee with it, you can apply some Scarlet Rot. Oh baby! And just like the Crystal Staff, it has really good sorcery scaling, going upwards from 80 to 99 intelligence. Heading to our second and last staff, we have the Staff of Loss. Now this staff gives bonuses to Night Shard and Night Comet. However, in the description, it does say you can only cast invisibility spells, but you can use it to cast all the spells in the game. It has really poor scaling from 40 to 60 intelligence and has average scaling from 70 intelligence and up. If you're really a fan of Night Shard and Night Comet, feel free to use this staff, but even so, I wouldn't recommend it because of its average sorcery scaling. You can literally use any of the staffs that have higher scaling and it will still outdamage the damage bonus it provides for Night Shard and Night Comet. For our last staff, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Staff of the Guilty, which does not scale with intelligence. This is a faith-only scaling staff. It gives bonuses to Brewers of Punishment and Brewers of Sin. And if you're really itching to do a faith build and an only faith build, this is going to be the best staff for you, even though it has poor scaling. So I hope that this video was helpful in identifying which staffs you do want to upgrade with your precious Ancient Somber Dragon Smithing Stones and your Ancient Dragon Smithing Stones. And remember, you can check out that calculator in the links down below. You can check out my soft cap video in the links down below, and you can check out the Ice Queen build in the links down below as well. If I made any mistakes or if you have any questions, please let me know in the descriptions below. You can always catch me at my Twitch at twitch.tv/PlatoBear when I am live. And until the next one, peace.